Hey y'all, Aviva here. Just thought it would be fun today to read through the comments of the hemp program, the public comments that people made. So yeah, let's go read them together and see how we feel about it. There ended up being, I think, about like 4,700 to 5,000 comments, which is not a lot considering how many people live in America. This is a federal program that was up for comment. And I don't know why it's not being covered in the news. You would think this is the most important thing ever. And we're going to find out if anyone besides me said we need to grow this for personal use, not just, as a farmer. Like, we have a right to grow hemp in our own gardens. So let's see. Let's find out what it is. If y'all haven't been to my channel before, welcome so much. My name is Aviva. I am the founder of the Georgia Hemp Economic Revival Organization, and that's our organization that's been going on in Atlanta to educate folks, grassroots, about hemp. It's been going on for at least 6 or 7 years here, but I wrote Cannabis Car about 20 years ago, and that's when I really started advocating for cannabis to just be legal so that we can use it for whatever we want. Fuel, fiber, all that stuff. So welcome all of you newbies. Some of you already have been here for the mud building I do, for the music I do, and for the qigong that I do. So thank you for whatever reason you're here and whatever reason you ended up here. I hope you stick around and learn more about hemp if you don't know about hemp. And I'm going to keep this video uncut. I just want to be able to do a video that I don't have to edit post-production, and I'm just going to read through the comments. And yeah, being uncut is a good way to be in all aspects of life. I want to say it was snowing today. It's not snowing much anymore, but this is just the perfect day to go through your arm warmers and your leg warmers and organize that drawer, that box, because it's fun to wear warm clothes sometimes. I love how the cold weather brings us together, causes people to just stay home and be with their communities and help each other. All right, let's read some comments. Are you as excited as me? All right, let's dig in here. Starting with January 29th, 2020, we've got a comment from NASDA on the hemp interim final rule comments that were published. Not all the comments were published. All right, this is from Administrator Bruce Summers. He actually works at the USDA, okay, and it's regarding number blah, 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 Federal Register, blah, 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 establishment of a domestic hemp production program, October 31st, 2019. Administrator Summers. He's addressing Summers. Oh, this is to Bruce Summers. It looks like it was from the before. Okay, this is from someone D'Angelo. The National Association of State Departments of Agriculture appreciates the opportunity to submit this comment on the United States Department of Agriculture interim final rule, establishing a federal domestic hemp program. NASDA believes it is essential that the federal hemp program provide flexibility to state authorities to implement regulatory plans that work best for them, while ensuring legal certainty through a uniform, predictable set of standards for hemp producers across the country. NASDA represents the commissioners, secretaries, and directors of the state departments of agriculture in all 50 states and 4 U.S. territories. State departments of agriculture are responsible for a wide range of programs, including conservation and environmental protection, food safety, combating the spread of plant and animal diseases, and fostering the economic vitality of our rural communities. The Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018 Farm Bill provides the required regulatory framework from which USDA developed regulations. Oh, there's 12 pages. I'm not going to read these all. Oh, wow. Okay. This is a novel. Not a novel, but like a term project paper. Okay. So NASA supports the production, processing, and commercialization of hemp It encourages research in all aspects of hemp, from production to finished products, supports consistent model legislation to assist state legislatures in their efforts to enact laws permitting hemp production with their jurisdictions in accordance with the 2018 Farm Bill, supports the development of uniform standards. Okay, encourages the FDA to develop a model regulatory framework for oversight of the processing of hemp, and cannabidiol, CBD, which will protect public health and foster growth, blah, 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 blah. Hemp production offers enormous potential to U.S. farmers. The United States is well positioned to develop the most competitive and our members welcome the opportunity to partner with the USDA in this historic effort. NASTA also appreciates the hard work of the USDA and especially the Agricultural Marketing Service, as well as their extensive outreach to our member states. That's nice. To better understand the challenges and opportunity the emerging industries face. Sorry, I'm just frustrated. Okay, 1. Testing within 15 days of harvest. NASTA appreciates USDA clarifying that THC also includes THCA, and that this testing is critical to defining the crop as hemp. The rule requires that hemp producers secure collection and testing of hemp within 15 days of harvest. This interval is not based on scientific research on THCA content at harvest, and therefore the length of the interval is questionable. Based on our experience in the state, this is not long enough of a window of time and will inevitably be problematic in virtually every state for numerous practical reasons which are beyond the control of the farmer as well as the State Department. Bottlenecks in testing are almost certain to arise in virtually any growing areas with significant production. Blah, 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 blah. For all these reasons, the 15-day testing window will almost certainly create a challenge for state regulations and farmers. These bottlenecks could be avoidable, blah, 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 blah. Testing by DEA registered laboratory. NASTA appreciates the testing is essential to define crop as hemp. Therefore, the most important focus must be on having validated, accurate, and timely testing. Okay, anyway, you all can get on and read this one if you want. I actually downloaded the PDF so I could email it to you if you want. This is from Delucia. All right, let's see. What else? What other comments? Comments from something Piper. They don't leave their first name. Comment. I beseech the USDA to base all regulations regarding cannabis horticulture be based on true science and with an eye to the least restrictive application of this law. Aye, aye. It is now fairly well documented that many of the restrictions of cannabis enacted by legislation and regulation have dubious motivations. We also now know that there are countries on the planet that have very different approaches to the issue of drug abuse and how to treat it. Marijuana, or recreational cannabis, has been the focus of this resource's value to America, and that has been to our detriment. Cannabis has the potential to become a feedstock for new products that compete directly with now common synthetics and offer many new opportunities for American farmers beyond recreational pot. Cannabis should be as legal as corn. I agree with you, Mr. or Mrs. Piper. Yes, the USDA and the FDA have responsibilities to regulate and ensure the safety of products, especially those consumed internally. But let us not let irrational hysteria about non-existent social problems. No, marijuana is not a gateway drug. It's just a made-up word. I added it's just a made-up word. Though alcohol and tobacco use typically is. Regulate consumables, but let farmers be free to grow cannabis as they are to choose corn as part of their rotation. And without burdensome tests and restrictions with regard to THC, cannabis that is field grown at the biomass densities for hemp production will never compete with the advanced recreational strains being... The camera stopped, so I had to come back. Cannabis that is field grown at the biomass densities for hemp production will never compete with the advanced recreational strains being developed where it is legal. Why would anyone want cherry wine when they can get sour diesel? This hemp flower stuff is a little bit of a joke, people. Why do people want that? People can get the freaking Dunkin' Donut triple fruity pebbles, whatever they It's here. This is like, let us grow hemp for fuel. Okay, anyway, back to Piper's comment. Cannabis should be as legal as corn. Corn can be fermented and distilled into toxic moonshine with a much greater lethality than any known cannabis product. We don't restrict American farmers from growing corn because it could be used to manufacture a dangerous consumable. Do we? No. Please recognize the travesties of this past irrational and in some ways totally un-American, laws and regulations that have been inappropriately applied to cannabis. Hemp can help heal America. Let it grow freely. Thank you, Piper. Yes, hemp is the American way, not this crap of, limiting us. Oh, and he attached Jack Herr's book, Emperor Wears No Clothes. He gave it to Bruce Summers. Good job, Piper. I hope Summers reads that. All right, comment from Anonymous. This was commented on, I don't know if the date is there. Oh, this is my friend Betsy. Hello, I am ready to grow my own hemp in my own garden. Add personal use hemp to the policy so we can grow our own hemp like we can grow tomatoes, blueberries, etc. Hemp seeds provide valuable nutrition that all humans have a right to. Furthermore, the 0.3% THC limit is a bit ridiculous, as Henry Ford was growing hemp for fuel in Dearborn, Michigan, and that 0.3% genetics was not what he was growing. Natural hemp can be up to 1, 2, or even 3% THC and higher. This should not be an issue. It's for fuel, fiber, and it's for us all. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, very good. Good job. She signed her name, but it says Anonymous on top. This is from Barker. To whom it may concern, please consider the following concerns regarding hemp production. 1. There are no rules and regulations regarding seed production facilities. We own a hemp seed production facility, and our plants are tested every 2 weeks because we plant new plants every 2 weeks. None of the plants tested are ever used for human consumption in any form. We pollinate the plants and harvest the seeds, and then the plant is destroyed, composted. When cannabis and hemp plants are pollinated, the THC levels drop because all of the energy goes towards the production of the seeds. I ask this question: why are our plants tested? What is the purpose? We have multiple strains, and this testing costs thousands of dollars. Solution: require seed production facilities to verify that the seed strains that they are producing are truly hemp plants. This should probably be done on an annual basis, and save the more comprehensive testing to be done on the plants that will actually be harvested for human consumption. 2. The 0.3% THC limit is not feasible. Hemp plants consistently produce THC levels below 1%. Current laws require the plants to be harvested early before CBD levels have a chance to peak. 1% THC is not high enough to cause psychoactive effects on people, especially when it's been proven that CBD neutralizes THC effects on the brain. Solution: raise the THC limit to 1%. Yeah, sounds reasonable. Or 3. Farmers need time to harvest their fields. Currently, most fields are harvested by hand. I understand that rule makers want to ensure that the plants do not go above the 0.3% limit and therefore want the plants harvested ASAP. Solution: raise the THC limit to 1% and every farmer will stay below the limit even if it takes a month to harvest their crops. Bam! 4. It is proposed that all samples be tested at a DEA certified lab. This proposal will be a hardship on rural farmers. Solution: allow states to choose and make available a list of approved labs for testing. Neil Barker, you're brilliant. 5. Some farmers grow mixed-sex cannabis plants, and others grow only female plants, because female plants produce the most CBD. If pollen travels from the one farm to the other farm and pollinates the plants, then the crop is lost, which can cost thousands of dollars in losses. Because female plants that have been pollinated do not have very much CBD. Solution: require farmers to grow only female plants if they are within 20 miles of another registered cannabis farm facility. I appreciate your time in considering my solutions to these concerns. Can you imagine all of these? It's like going to an all-girls school. All these cannabis plants, and then like one male comes around and they're just like, ah! Okay, anyway. Thank you Neil Barker, Green Living Hemp Seeds, Ogden, Utah. Good job, Neil. Look at all these amazing people commenting. How long do y'all want to do this? Should I just do this for an hour? Are you enjoying this? Scribbles, do you want to read the next one? This is from Anonymous. Since it says Anonymous, yeah, I'm going to make sure I don't read a name here.
Are being made by using horrible stereotypes that have no fact and truth is simply wrong. The level of THC for hemp, one of the true agricultural items that helped to create our country, should remain as it is. Do you hear that, Daddy? The Farm Bill just passed last year, and the naive decision that it needs to be changed now, a year later of passing, is wrong. It's wrong because even your own data has not enough information to make such claims in needing to restrict so drastically. Please be reasonable and allow this new industry to grow for at least another 2 years before any logical decision can be made in truly assessing what changes and corrections are needed. Please help us farmers find a stable life, a stable income, and please don't judge as a political sense, but instead be reasonable. From an Oregon farmer. And Daddy Trump, I'm Peach, and you're Peach, you know? But I'm glad that you're still the president so you can say, we're all free to grow our own hemp, okay?
Aw, good job. You're getting a little emotional now. All right. So, now let's read the next comment. From Anonymous, Oregon farmer did that one. I wonder if the dates are here that they commented. Oh, this is from Ventura Seed Company. It is a PDF from something else. So sure, let's open this up. What do we got here? This was written December 30th, so early on in the comment period, from the Honorable Greg Eback, or it's to the Honorable Greg Eback, Undersecretary of Agriculture for Marketing and Regulatory Programs. Okay, dear Undersecretary Eback, on behalf of Ventura Seed Company, LLC, California's first hemp cultivator, to be certified under the USDA's National Organic Program, we write to express our sincere thanks to you and your agency for its deep commitment to the hemp industry. The USDA's commitment to the hemp industry is clearly reflected in the thoroughness of the recently released interim final rule for the U.S. domestic hemp program. We appreciate the USDA's request for public comment, and we submit these comments and recommendations pursuant to that request. Who has time to read all that? I almost fell asleep. It reminded me I was in school. Testing for total THC content. Currently, the interim final rule states samples must be tested using post-decarboxylation or other similarly reliable analytical methods where the total THC concentration level reported accounts for the conversion of delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinolic acid, THCA, into THC. However, such a regulation is unfounded given the express language of the definition of hemp found in the Farm Bill. The definition of hemp is clear in that all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, acids, salts, and salts of isomers, whether growing or not, emphasis added, of the hemp plant are expressly lawful, so long as the plant does not contain a delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. THC, concentration of above 0.3% THC, not THCA, is the only compound identified within the definition of hemp, and it is the sole determining compound which distinguishes hemp from marijuana under the Controlled Substance Act. Under the interim final rule, the USDA has taken that position that a lawful plant-based acid found in hemp should be converted into the unlawful cannabinoid element of hemp. Good point. Such a regulation is contradictory to the plain language of the Farm Bill and the spirit of the law, which was to ensure that THCA was the only regulated cannabinoid. and that all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, acids, salts, and salts of isomers were to be deemed lawful and widely utilized in commercial applications. I like you, Anonymous. We respectfully request that the total THC requirement identified within the interim final rule be removed, and that the USDA work with the scientific and agricultural communities to ensure that the testing standards can be established which will accurately identify and measure THC without the forced conversion of other cannabinoids, isomers, and or acids. 15-day prior to harvest sampling and testing period and compliance documentation, we respectfully request that the interim final rules current requirement that state and tribal plans implement sampling and testing 15 days prior to harvest be revised to ensure that the sampling period is rooted in scientific-based analysis. Per information complied by the Congressional Research Service, scientific and genome research indicate that hemp and marijuana are neither genetically identical nor genetically similar. Although hemp and marijuana are from the same cannabis plant, available research supports the conclusion that the selective breeding has resulted in two separate strains. A 2015 study by Canadian researchers reported that marijuana and hemp are significantly different at a genome-wide level, demonstrating that the distinction between these populations is not limited to genes underlying the THC production. Given there is scientific data available which suggests the distinction between the two plants is more profound than currently estimated, we call on the USDA to utilize its resources to further study the distinctions between hemp and marijuana. The information gained from such a study can help to determine at what point in the plant's life cycle, are you still awake? Is it scientifically apparent that the plant will grow to exhibit the characteristics of the marijuana plant or hemp plant. Okay. Anyway, the current 15-day prior to harvest sampling and testing period appears to be an arbitrary time frame, which was chosen without a basis currently available. Okay, well, this must be a lawyer writing this letter. Oh my gosh, this language. For all post-harvest materials and hemp-derived byproducts such as hemp-derived crude oil and hemp-derived distillates. Wait, what does it say? Therefore, it would be expressly clear to all industry participants that a valid pre-harvest report, blah, 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 ensuring uniformity with respect to measurement of uncertainty. While we would like to thank the USDA for considering that a measurement of uncertainty exists within testing methods, oh, I talked to Mike Evans about this, we fear that the current guidance could have adverse effects on hemp farmers. Under the guidance issued for the interim final rule, the exact same plant sample could be determined to be either lawful or unlawful depending on the lab utilized for testing. The interim final rule notes that if a laboratory reports a result as 0.35% with a measurement of uncertainty of 0.06%, the distribution or range is 0.29% to 0.41%. Because 0.3% is within that distribution or range, the sample and the lot it represents is considered hemp for the purpose of compliance with the requirements of the state, tribal, or USDA hemp plans. However, if the measurement of uncertainty for the sample was 0.02%, the distribution or range is 0.33% to 0.37%. Because 0.3% or less is not within the distribution or range, the sample is not considered hemp for the purpose of plan compliance, and the lot it represents will be subject to disposal. That is well said. And I'm going to go on to the next comment, but Akasha Ellis, well done. Okay, go read her letter, y'all. I've got it downloaded. I guess I could send it to you. Okay, let's go to another comment here.
Good morning.
Oh, whoops.
So in this video,
I just pulled up a video on how to build with bamboo that I'm going to watch later. How are y'all doing? Are you guys feeling good? Are you enjoying listening? Because you don't have to look at your LED screen. You could be washing your dishes while you're listening to me read you the comments on the hemp program. I think it's important that we read each other's comments. I mean, it took enough energy to write the comments, right? Why would we read them? All right, this is from Perry. Texas State comments. Another attachment which I'm going to download because it's important stuff, y'all. What is this? I got two of them open. Ooh, pretty paper here, Charles Perry, Texas State Senator, District 28. He's writing to Honorable Sonny Perdue from our good state of Georgia, right? Doesn't Sonny live here? Anyway. He wrote this January 8th, so he had plenty of time before the deadline, which was January 29th. All right. He's also writing to Bill Richmond, the Chief U.S. Domestic Hemp Production Program
Specialty Crops Program, AMS USDA. And the Secretary, Honorable Sonny Perdue of the United States Department of Agriculture. Okay, dear Secretary Perdue, congratulations on your recent completion and publication of the interim final rules for establishment of a domestic hemp production program hereinafter. USDA rules or the rules? Because this is a long paper. How many pages is this? I'm not sure. It doesn't have numbers on the pages. That offers guidance and regulations to states, tribes, territories, and individual stakeholders seeking to participate in this exciting new industry. It's not a new industry. It's been around forever, people. We applaud the dedication and extraordinary work that went into the development of this working document, and we thank you and your staff for this effort. As you are no doubt aware, Texas recently passed legislation to implement a hemp provisions of the 2018 Farm Bill, and Texas stakeholders are actively working to draft regulations to implement this law. As authors of the Texas legislation, we write this letter to offer input for your consideration as the USDA collects information regarding its rules. Thank you for your consideration of our input. Section 297B, A1. Nice being specific, Texas. Of Farm Bill. Specifically provides that a state shall have primary regulatory authority over the production of hemp in the state, so long as the regulatory plan submitted by the state to the USDA meets all 7 conditions set forth in Section 297BA2. Furthermore, as the USDA considers the diverse plans and approaches that states, tribals, etc. submit for approval, we encourage the USDA to keep in mind the original intent of this legislation was not to limit what the states and tribal government include in their state or tribal plan as long as it's consistent with this subtitle, in quotes. Conference Committee report, emphasis added. It is our view that the Texas statute meets the mandate set forth in Section 297B. However, we are concerned that because Texas's legislative approach differs from the USDA's rules, the forthcoming Texas Hemp Management Plan might be rejected by the USDA if it is drafted with the same requirements as in state statute. Therefore, as requested by the USDA in these rules, we submit this letter to raise our concerns, to discuss Texas legislative intent in adopting our approach, and to seek clarity from the USDA as to whether its approach will be viewed as compliant with both Section 297B and the USDA's rule. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter, as Texas stakeholders are actively drafting the regulatory framework for submission to the USDA in a manner that will allow Texas farmers to participate in the 2020 cultivation cycle. Alright, I'm going to go on to the next one. But there's several more pages if you want to read that. I think it's a good one. Comment from Smith. Did I do this yet? I don't think so. This is from Mr. or Mrs. Smith. The first name is not provided. Everyone in the hemp industry is approved by the 2018 Farm Bill. Everyone in the hemp industry, as approved by the 2018 Farm Bill, are appalled at the USDA's interim rule on the total THC concentration post-decarboxylation. You have made growing hemp for high CBD almost impossible. Congratulations! The seed genetics that have already been approved will almost all be no good. You have gone against the federal regulations and made your own rules as you see fit. Instead of helping our farmers, the economy, and the health of our citizens move forward, you've made us all take a huge step backwards. It's sickening how you think you know what's best for a particular demographic of people or products without even asking the people who use hemp and grow it. Isn't that a good point? Your interim rule should have instead said, total THC of the plant cannot exceed 1%. And Delta 9 cannot exceed 0.3%. And all would have been right in the world. You can't even get psychoactive effects, all in capitals, from high CBD, low THC products. I bet the USDA rule makers don't even know that. Blindly making rules that hold the thumb to the farmers. Thanks for helping us digress further as a nation of farmers and natural health advocates instead of standing behind us and helping us move forward. Instead of helping us and having the backs of those who followed the initial rules, you've closed the doors and turned your backs. I would expect the marketplace will see more black market sales instead of lawful ones. So again, thank you for all you do. Extreme sarcasm expressed. Let me try that again. Thank you for all you do. I can't do it. I can't express it sarcastically. Thank you, Smith, for all you do. Texas State comments. I think I read that one already. Comments from Thomas. No first name. Ooh, another attachment. Oh, but he has a comment without the attachment. I'll just do that one. My hope is that the Tennessee government will really listen and learn from its people and farmers to come to an educated decision. That sounds like he doesn't think there is an educated decision going on in this, in these regulations. Okay, now I'm curious. Let me see this attached document. How y'all doing out there? You want some popcorn? Is this entertaining you? Let me try to get it in your mouth. Oh, awesome. Alrighty, dighty. I lost the most important person in my life to cancer. I watched for over 3 years as my mom's life was taken from her. Therefore, I will never give up fighting for cannabis. If you have experienced this, I sympathize with you. I began to face this reality when my mom's cancer was found 10 years ago. I was just 15 when it began as stage 2. She received radiation and went into remission. She was re-diagnosed 5 years later as stage 4 when I had just turned 20. 3 years later, at 23, in May of 2019, my mom passed away. Just 2 weeks before I graduated college. I'm so sorry. I graduated with a plant science degree from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. That time was the most confusing and devastating time of my life. As a plant scientist and a firm believer in natural plant medicine, I couldn't help but feel angry at the system. Cannabis is the only thing that helped her through her horrific fate, and it was never offered to her by one single doctor or medical professional. People like my mother need this medicine. This is serious. This is necessary. I first started learning in depth about this amazing plant when the Farm Bill passed, and it was talked about it in my classes, being surrounded by plant people and highly educated professors who were also plant people. We all celebrated. The more I learned the science behind it, the more I urged my mom to use the plant. We brought her hemp oil. I made her edibles. At first, she was very skeptical only because of the stigma behind it, and she didn't want that attached to her reputation. So I decided to grow it and show her a new perspective on it, that it is a plant and a gift that we as humans have always harbored for medicine and fiber. It made no sense that this was illegal, and I was determined to get my mom to use it, knowing what it could do. My plan worked, and she started taking the products I made and bought. She immediately saw a difference. Up until that point, when she would get chemo on Friday, she was brutally sick until the next week. Once she started hemp oil, she didn't get sick after chemo. She was able to go to work that very same day and work the entire next week. This was huge. Cannabis allowed her to continue living her life while she was slowly dying from cancer. Chemo is used to kill cells in the body, good and bad, making the body so weak and defenseless that the cancer patient's immune system can't fight anything they are exposed to, much less live their life in their final years. Cannabis works with the chemistry of the body, improving the immune system. This is what completely changed her mind. Fast forward a year and a half, and she was preaching CBD oil to everyone. Although her cancer was already too progressed throughout her body, it enhanced her life so much through the last year of her battle. I remember one night she cried to me about how backwards the medical industry had shown itself to be in her own process. She was at the best hospital in the country, and she still wept because no one seemed to care that she was dying. It was always just one or two options: more chemo, more pain pills, or more money. Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. I'll go for about another 20 minutes, I think. I'm just going to skip through this letter. It's an amazing letter. I will read it myself, but I'm going to just share the last paragraph. In Colorado, there are now strains with no CBD and high THC amounts. This is because they have bred strains for over 10 years specifically for this reason. Do I believe in breeding cannabis solely for recreational use? No. It is unnatural and takes years to breed out a natural compound. Also, a lot of recreational users are finding these strains to be too strong and unenjoyable because there's no CBD compound to calm out the high. My friend Derek always says it needs to be 1-to-1 for true healing. 1-to-1 ratio CBD THC. Therefore, creating a demand for more medical strains with different ratios of cannabinoids. That is the future of cannabis. Highly medicinal cannabis strains. The hemp industry is so new, no one has gotten the chance to breed a strain that meets this new law, but people involved in big pharma and big money. CBG is the only strain that has the least amount of THC, but CBG alone doesn't have the medicinal effects of the whole plant. If these regulations sustain in future legislation, the hemp industry will be a complete system failure. To farmers and scientists everywhere, the new laws that prohibit any THC proves an ignorance of industry regulators. Skipping to the end of this paragraph, the new law is a regression that would take away potential for so much good while devastating so many new and old farmers. Do you really want to be part of that? This new law goes against the original goals of the Farm Bill. I have confidence in the department to revise this law as it is unnecessary and only detrimental. After all, Tennessee is the country's leader in agriculture and commerce. Let's stand up for what we know is right. Okay. This is an anonymous letter. Well, it's something Thomas. Maybe it's Thomas something. Alright, let's see what Perry's... Okay. I think I'm not going to do any more attached letters. I said that last time, and just trying to do some quick comments for y'all. Okay. I should get a glass of water. Anyway. USDA, thank you for your efforts on keeping hemp growing federally legal. I have reviewed your recently published draft of proposed hemp regulations. Despite being a busy farmer in the midst of growing and processing, I feel I must make time to comment on these proposed regulations, for there are aspects that I feel are an unrealistic request upon farmers. Are you listening, USDA? Are you listening to these comments? This is so frustrating. Am I the only one reading them? Are you guys reading them? I want to see some changes. Do you hear all these comments? There's probably, all 5,000 are probably like this. Okay, sorry. I'm getting a little worked up. I am a hemp farmer licensed by the state of North Carolina. I am also a licensed hemp processor. What we grow here on the farm stays on the farm. I appreciate that you're trying to protect growers from fraudulent processors, but I must ask for you to please waive bond requirements for growers who process their own hemp crop. That saves fuel, too. Having to pay large bonds to process my own crop would put me and my family out of business. But perhaps that's what you're trying to do? I don't know, Klein. Maybe. I'm going to snapshot this. Meredith Klein. Good job, babe. What did she say? At the end, I would ask that if we cannot have full federal legalization of all cannabis, that you please consider raising total THC to 1% for industrial hemp, or go back to just measuring by 0.3% Delta 9, waive processors bonds for growers who have processed their own crop, blah, blah, blah. Allow growers to test their industrial hemp with non-DEA approved third-party laboratories and augment your testing window away from the delicate proximity of Parmesan. How many people have to say this? This is from Konopasek. As a registered nurse who has cared for patients using CBD oil as a successful treatment and a third-generation Iowa farmer, I submit the comments from the Vote Hemp organization. I agree with the recommended changes to the IFR. I am excited to grow hemp in Iowa on our farm, but the current IFR is too restricting and will not allow farmers to grow hemp successfully. The IFR needs more accuracy and fairness. Please review the Vote Hemp IFR comments to support my concern. All right. see these comments. Vote hemp. Well, that's loading. Let's go to another hemp. Another comment. All right. McCall. Is this from Tom McCall, the co-sponsor of our hemp bill? All right. The vote hemp comments are... Wow. The day it was due. January 29th, 2020 is when it was written. To whom it may concern, Vote Hemp is the nation's leading and longest-serving advocacy organization for federal policy regarding hemp farming and hemp production manufacturing in the United States. At the request of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Marketing Service, we share the following comments regarding certain provision of the interim final rule of the establishment of a domestic hemp production program. IFR is its initial, I didn't realize that. Interim final rule, IFR. As the agency continues to develop the regulatory framework mandated by the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018. Vote Hemp believes the USDA has taken steps in the right direction in drafting the IFR. However, certain provisions do raise serious concerns for our stakeholders, hemp producers, processors, and manufacturers that we discuss in detail below. The measurement of uncertainties, the first Roman numeral. Sampling procedure is the second numeral. Sampling to harvest window. They also say 45 days should be. Disposal of non-compliant plants. Okay, let's read this, because we should never burn this plant. It's too valuable. Besides, what if it phytoremediated chemicals? Then you burn the chemicals in the air. The IFR requires all non-compliant plant material to be destroyed pursuant to DEA regulations. The complete destruction of a non-compliant hemp crop poses a great risk of economic hardship on hemp farmers, who may invest upwards $35,000 per acre for planting. Under the IFR, hemp producers risk losing the entirety of their investments and are subject to further liability for the costs associated with the destruction of their crop. The 2018 Farm Bill makes no mention of destruction. It only requires disposal of non-compliant plants or plant material. The statute specifically says, contents, a state or tribal plan referred to in paragraph shall only be required to include a procedure for the effective disposal, whether growing or not, that are produced in violation of this subtitle and products derived from those plants. Are we back in the 40s where y'all are burning people's crops and causing homelessness? Can we stop this, please? Oh my goodness. Like, why can't you just sell them to the low THC oil producers? Or how about raise the limits and don't have this 0.3% limit? End use. It's all about end use. If you don't want the THC in your oil, don't buy it. You know? It's like, if the plant produces that THC, maybe it did it for a specific person that it was trying to make medicine for. Plants they give us so much. And then you destroy that medicine because of your little control issues. Congress did not intend for the USDA to be bound by the CSA or the DEA regulations for the disposal of a non-compliant crop, which was not done intentionally or knowingly. Congress explicitly granted USDA sole authority to regulate all plants produced pursuant to the 2018 Farm Bill, including non-compliant hemp. Okay. So they can regulate non-compliant hemp. They can put it to use somewhere. The intent was clearly for the USDA, states, and the tribes to oversee disposal of any non-compliant crops, not the DEA. Non-compliant plants should be treated differently than the product of an unlawful marijuana grow operation, just as it's not bound by DEA regulations that would classify non-compliant hemp producers as manufacturers of Schedule I controlled substance. True. USDA is not beholden to the DEA to properly dispose of non-compliant crops. We recommend that the agency amend the disposal provisions of the IFR to regain the statutory authority it delegated to DEA. We further urge the agency to allow states and tribes to implement the simplest and most cost-effective disposal methods such that non-compliant leaf and flower biomass is rendered useless or non-consumable for humans in an effort to limit the negative financial impact on hemp producers as much as possible. Negligent violation, Roman numeral 6. The IFR defines negligence as a failure to exercise the level of care that is reasonably prudent, that a reasonably prudent person would exercise in complying with the regulations set forth under this part. Quote, I remember when my 5th grade teacher was like, can anyone guess what prudent means? Do you think I'm prudent? And I was like, no, because I was like, I loved her so much and I thought prudent was a bad word. She was like, no, because prudent means smart. For anyone who doesn't know. For anyone who didn't have that 5th grade spelling word. All right. Okay, IFR defines negligence as blah, blah, blah. However, the IFR subsequently creates a bright line rule where a THC measurement above 0.5% is considered negligent per se. Hemp producers do not commit a negligent violation under this paragraph if they make reasonable efforts to grow hemp and the cannabis does not have a delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol concentration of more than 0.5% on a dry weight basis. In drawing this arbitrary line, USDA contradicts its own definitions of negligence. Blah, 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 blah. Wow. This is like a serious... Okay. At the end of this letter, you've got a THC distribution in field-grown hemp prior to harvest chart. This is by J. Scott Lohman, Jack He, Mike Clark, and Mark Gignac at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, Danville, Virginia. Okay. Background. Current hemp regulations set the legal limit of THC at 0.3%. However, where the plant is sampled and how many plants are sampled can generate significantly different values, leading to confusion as to whether the plant or field has exceeded the threshold. Okay, this is a little... Wow. This is really cool. This actually shows the total THC distribution of 10 plants from the same field. Some of them have 0.07, some of them have 0.29, some of them have 0.32.
Yeah, I drank it. I'm like, why am I stepping on crunchy popcorn? Oh yeah, because I threw it. Alrighty. Here we are at Bethleen McCall's, Mike Sullivan and Bethleen McCall. Mike Sullivan, that sounds familiar. And Bethleen, I wonder if she's related to Tom. Nope. This is, well, let's see what she says. Our farm is one of the original 100 hemp farms in the nation. We have been growing hemp since 2014. Does that mean you're the original or just the 2014? Because originally it was growing before 1940. Anyway, we have created over 20 seasonal and 3 full-time jobs that pay a living wage in our rural community. That's awesome. We have also rented warehouse spaces that had sat vacant for years. Wonderful. In addition, we have hired local tradesmen to get our facilities up and running. Plumbers, electricians, HVAC and construction crews, or do you mean construction crews, have all benefited from the addition of our industrial hemp business. We also regularly patronize hardware, fertilizers, soil, nursery supplies, REA, fuel, and shipping companies. We have built a successful business despite no access to operating loans, crop insurance, or NRCS programs. Good job. Your interim final rules threaten to take it all away. Are you listening, USDA? Do not take it all away. Do not destroy people. Well, not people, but their livelihood. Due to the way your rules have been crafted, our small family farm is now at a huge disadvantage. We had a Delta 9 conversation at the legislature, not a total THC conversation. Many believe that you are overstepping legislative intent. I think it's just lack of education. I think it's like... I even told some legislators that THCA is what's in it, you know, before it breaks down, and then it turns into THC. So it's like, it doesn't even have the THC. And now they, like, use it against you. The 0.5 negligence threshold is absurd.
There's no way legitimate hemp farmers like ourselves intentionally grow non-compliant crops. That's true. Skipping back. Due to the way your rules have been crafted, our small family farm is now at a huge disadvantage. Anyway. Everyone familiar with this crop knows that the vast majority of varieties will go over the 0.3% total THC limit when grown to maturity. Sad, but true. What the heck? What kind of game is this? You have to lose? USDA should remember that the industry is new and we don't have 100 years of genetic selection to benefit from like the wheat industry. Yeah, we do. I think they're in a vault in Hawaii. This rule is like saying that everyone can only produce 100 bushel corn. Who could make a profit business producing only 100 bushel corn? Corporate farmers, not small farmers. Okay. 15-day window unrealistic. A larger window is required. Blah, blah, blah. Amend the rules. Respectfully, Mike Sullivan and Bethleen McCall, owners, Hemp Farm, Colorado. Good job, guys. Thank you for commenting. All right. Just 2 more comments, and then I'm going to let you read them on your own. But I have to get to Golden Drops Cafe, where I'm singing today. This is from Kosak. Robert Kosak. From Pharma Extracts Legal Department. I think this is Georgia Extracts. Here is a summary of the recommendations contained in the attached PDF document. Okay, so I'm glad that I can just look at it without downloading it. First, state and tribal authorities should not have their power usurped and should remain charged with determining whether or not a hemp producer has been negligent. Second, if a hemp producer begins with the state or tribal approved hemp seed and his hemp crop tests more than 0.3%, not total delta 9 THC, then the Farmers Act should be classified non-negligent. The hemp producer should not be considered negligent for the purpose of giving him a strike under the 3 strikes rule set forth in Section 297B, after which the hemp producer would be prohibited from growing hemp for 5 years. Third, there should be no imposition of strict liability if the hemp is found to have a total delta 9 THC level in excess of 0.5%. Fourth, if a cannabis sativa L plant grown from the state or tribal approved hemp seeds ends up having a total delta 9 THC content exceeding 0.3% but not exceeding 1%, then the cannabis sativa L crop should be allowed to be used as hemp biomass for cannabinoid extraction, since the end product will either be a THC free or contain no more than 0.3% total delta 9 THC, which I think the company makes the extracts. Fifth, a sampling method needs to accurately reflect how the hemp is processed and consumed. If a hemp grown for biomass and the entire harvested plant is thrown into a vat for processing into CBD isolate, then the entire top third of the hemp plant should be ground into a homogeneous flour from which a testing sample is taken. Only when hemp is grown for flour for smoking should the leaves and stems from the top third of the plant be removed prior to the remaining mass being ground into a homogeneous flour. 6. Requiring hemp crops to be harvested within 15 days is unreasonable and does not recognize the unforeseeable of the weather and other factors such as soil type, fertilizers and plant stress, temperature extremes, and excessively high or low humidity conditions. The harvest should be within 30 days of the hemp crop being tested. Okay. And some other things that other people said. Robert Kosak, JD. It's okay to say the same things, by the way. Someone was like, well, I'm not going to comment because everyone said stuff that I already said. Well, they need to hear that you say it too, because it's about massive comments and having to read things over and over again and get it through their heads. All right, Kentucky's Commissioner of Agriculture sent some comments in. I guess I'm downloading another PDF. All right, so you all coming to the hemp event in Georgia tomorrow? You can come here from North Carolina. We've got Michelle Namer talking about the 13 policies of the southern states and how they compare. The 13 southern state policies. Waller's Coffee, 8:30 to noon. We've got a vegan vendor that's going to be there selling her breakfast. Alright, here we go. This is from the Kentucky's Commissioner of Agriculture. He's writing to Honorable Greg E. Beck. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. This is from Ryan F. Quarles. That's a really cool last name. And it was written January 29th. Wow, the last day that it was due. Dear Undersecretary E. Beck, as Kentucky's Agricultural Commissioner, it is my honor and privilege to be an advocate for the interests of the 75,000 farm families who make the Commonwealth's agricultural economy work. I want to begin by thanking you and your team for your courtesy and professionalism these past several months. Nice positive energy. This spring, Kentucky's growing community of hemp farmers and processors will embark upon our 7th season of the hemp production in the modern era. As you know, Kentucky was one of the very first states in the nation to take advantage of the pilot program provisions that Congress included in the 2014 Farm Bill. Kentucky never stopped growing hemp. The Graves family has a 7th generational farmer. When I took office as commissioner in January 2016, I recognized that Kentucky's hemp program, which was then in its infancy, represented a major economic development opportunity. In short, my goal was to position Kentucky as an epicenter for American hemp production. To achieve that goal, I set out to build the best hemp program in the country, figuring that a well-designed, free market-oriented hemp program would attract interested farmers, entrepreneurs, and investors from across the country and around the world. Good job! If Kentucky could build a critical mass during these early years, we would be well positioned to win the race to establish our Commonwealth as a hemp epicenter. It's not a right.